Hello, my name is Sabrina Denmon, and welcome to my Pecha Kucha. Today we will be talking about heuristics, aka mental shortcuts, as they were covered in Tversky and Kahneman's 1974 Nobel Prize-winning research paper. I'd like to offer a word of thanks to Dr. Danik before we begin for overseeing my project and accompanying paper.
There is a 1 in 9,821 chance of dying as a result of a plane crash, compared to a 1 in 114 chance of dying as a result of a car crash. Despite the fact that it is statistically more likely to die as a result of a car crash, people assume that plane crashes are more deadly. Have you ever wondered why? The answer is heuristics.
Heuristics are the shortcuts your brain takes to reach conclusions, and they can be both helpful and harmful when applied to judgment. The ensuing errors can be serious, such as a judge giving a wrong sentence, or minor, like believing plane crashes to be more numerous than they are. And all of these can possibly be corrected through debiasing techniques.
Why do heuristics matter? If a heuristic fails to reach a correct answer in memory, judgment errors ensue. This unfortunately happens often, especially in the legal system, where decision-makers will commonly seek a satisfactory conclusion rather than a correct solution, which can result in unequal sentencing for the same crime if committed by two different people. Why should you believe me? I am a psychology major, and I researched heuristics and judgment errors for my cognitive psych term paper, reading dozens of cognitive psychology articles and law articles on the topic. I also worked closely with Dr. Danik, a cognitive psychologist, to construct my paper and this presentation for you today. This presentation will cover three important heuristics as defined by the researchers Tversky and Kahneman in their 1974 article on the topic of judgment heuristics and errors: the availability, representativeness, and anchoring and adjustment heuristics. First, these heuristics, the availability heuristic, results in numerous common biases. The availability heuristic concerns the ease with which instances or occurrences spring to mind when confronted with a problem, according to the researchers Tversky and Kahneman in their 1974 article. This is a useful heuristic for assessing the probability or frequency of something occurring, such as plane crashes, the frequency of a president being a white man. For example, when you see the word president, you likely have a mental image of the current president of the United States. The ease with which you have retrieved an image representative of the word president is due to the availability heuristic functioning. This heuristic is helped by the current president of the United States being memorable due to constant news coverage and tweets.
The availability heuristic is useful for assessing the probability of an event occurring based on previous events and retrieval memory, such as deciding which man is more likely to have been a president. It is also useful for determining the frequency of events based on accessible memories. Finally, the availability heuristic is useful for reaching quick conclusions based off of past experiences.
The issue with this heuristic is that memories are encoded to specific triggers. If you are using the wrong trigger to search for a memory, you won't remember correct information. An example of a working trigger would be the image of a plane, which should make you recall the plane at the beginning of the presentation. People also tend to overestimate the frequency and co-occurrence of events based on easily retrieved memories. The second heuristic is the representativeness heuristic, which concerns the question of A being representative of B based on the degree of resemblance, according to the researchers Tversky and Kahneman in their 1974 article. This heuristic is used in many probabilistic questions, with sometimes serious errors. For example, you are asked to identify which individual is the economics major from Harvard, the man in the suit or the woman in the dress. It is likely you will claim the man is the Harvard student based on his matching the image you hold in your brain of an economics major. This is the work of the representativeness heuristic, matching the image you see to a prototype in memory. This heuristic allows you to quickly decide if A is representative of B based on similarity. This allows for quick decisions and problem solving. For instance, if you are asked to meet the economist in an airport, you compare the suited man you see to the prototype image of an economist in your brain to decide if he is one. There are multiple downsides. According to Tversky and Kahneman, 1974, the representativeness heuristic can cause insensitivity to prior probabilities, predictability, and sample sizes in calculation, the misconception that random events such as coin tosses are representative, the illusion of validity, which is false confidence created by representativeness, and contributes to stereotypes. The third heuristic is the anchoring and adjustment heuristic, which involves anchoring information in the mind and adjusting that information until a reasonable estimation is reached, like in bartering. The anchor is typically the first piece of information you receive before making a decision, and anchoring is a psychology term for relying too heavily on one piece of information. For example, you want to buy a car, and the car dealer suggests a high price for the car that you will then try to negotiate down from, even if the initial price of the car is way more than the value of the car itself. The anchor here is the initial price, and you are adjusting from that price. Unfortunately, adjustments are typically insufficient, which causes errors. This leads to the overestimation of compound events, like a person being both a bank teller and a feminist, and to the underestimation of disconnected problems. This heuristic can also cause judgment errors when applied to subjective items such as the stock market, which contains probabilities based on opinion, which have no solid basis of adjustment on them.
There are solutions. These debiasing techniques typically involve education in the form of lecture or therapy on the heuristics with sufficient examples to reduce judgment biases. Some techniques involve avoiding anchors, conducting probability training, providing counterexamples and counter-anchors, supplying statistics. These solutions have been found to be effective. To recap, heuristics are the shortcuts your brain takes to reach conclusions, and they can be both helpful and harmful when applied to judgment. The ensuing errors can be serious, such as a judge giving a wrong sentence, or minor, like believing plane crashes to be more numerous than they are. These errors can be corrected through debiasing techniques, as outlined earlier.
Now that you understand what heuristics are, you probably recognize that the belief that plane crashes are more numerous than they are is a result of the availability heuristic failing. This incorrectly judging the frequency of an event based on the ease with which events can be constructed is the imaginability bias. It is possible that your own erroneous thinking was lessened by listening to this Pecha Kucha on heuristics.